Jason, you have three roles out here. You're the head golf pro, director of operations, and one of the managing partners. So thanks for having us out here, and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Mick.
Why don't you tell us a little about Meadowbrook? Obviously, it's an institution for people who grew up here, but not everyone has necessarily played the course. How many holes? Where are you? How many acres do you have? Just a few.
Sure. Meadowbrook has been here. The golf course was established in 1927. Predominantly a private golf facility up until April of 2011, which we'll get into in a little bit. But we have 155 acres here, 18 holes, championship-style golf course. We've hosted state opens here. We've hosted state amateurs here. So it's a very, very player-friendly, competitive golf course.
Mm-hmm. And the reason I wanted to have you as a guest on the show is in the last several years, Meadowbrook has been one of the most interesting continuing stories. Not today so much, but for a while there, it was a really interesting continuing business story. And I want to just read a few of these headlines and when they appeared, and then we'll talk about this. But September 2010, headline, Meadowbrook mulls reorganization. December 2010, Meadowbrook in receivership, future uncertain. In January, most operations stopped at Meadowbrook Country Club. January also of 2010, I put it number 9 in my personal top 10 business stories of the year list. March, Meadowbrook Country Club to survive. New owners group involved. And in April, local investors purchased Meadowbrook Country Club. And then in July of 2011, I came back and I wrote a story about some of the changes you guys had made. But before we get into the arc of that whole story, what's your background and how did it prepare you to take on these roles that you have at Meadowbrook?
Well, part of it was I grew up playing here. So obviously Meadowbrook was always close to my heart. You know, by growing up here, certainly the last thing you want to do is see a place that's close to your heart shut down and turn into, you know, there was all sorts of rumors we were going to turn, there's going to be a bird sanctuary, there's going to be...
oh, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we heard a lot of rumors. So that really being close to my heart, I wanted to do everything I could to try to keep it going. With that being said, we were able to, myself and the former superintendent at that time, Scott Bartosh, we went out and we wrote a business model, and we had a lot of help of our accountant and our lawyer. Helped us out tremendously.
If you don't mind, though, you say you grew up, but then what else did you do between growing up and playing here and, you know, what we're going to be talking about?
Oh, sure. As far as the golf business goes, you know, I had the opportunity right out of college to play golf professionally. Played 6 years in Canada, the Canadian tour. After that, you know, I looked at myself. I was 30 years old, and I'm saying, okay, am I going to get to that next level?
What kind of education did you have?
I had a Bachelor of Arts in economics from Northern Illinois University.
Economics, okay. So that's fitting.
Yep.
You had the golf background.
And I had the golf background. So it was interesting, you know, to put the two together. You know, once I got done playing, I looked at myself, hey, what can I do? What is the only thing that I know the most throughout, and that was the golf business. So Pete Idle over at IVES gave me an opportunity to become an assistant over there. Once again, I stayed there for 3 years, working at a public facility. Then I spent 1 year at a place called Fire Ridge, which is in Grafton. That's more of a semi-private facility. And then after that, for the next 5 years after that, I had the opportunity to be the head assistant pro at Tuckaway Country Club, which is a high-end country club in Franklin.
In Franklin. So you had all three, public, semi-private, and private.
And private. So with that, you know, obviously the work experience there was second to none. I learned all aspects of all the types of different golf courses. After that opportunity, they were going through the issues here. They needed a golf pro. Thankfully, I was the logical choice. By growing up here, I knew the area, so they brought me in 2010. I was the golf pro here, and then you can tell by reading those headlines how that was my first year here.
Interesting. You landed here the year the whole old Meadowbrook collapsed. So what did you observe? What month did you get here, and what did you observe?
Well, it was actually the first month, right away. Right away, I'm looking at the numbers, and the GM at the time, Niall Power, we were sitting down from each other, and we're looking at it.
And by the way, Niall had been brought in specifically to try to restructure and do whatever it took to save a club that was a ship that was taken on water.
Right. It was a sinking ship. There was no doubt. Unfortunately, it was a sinking ship. It was, you know, the club was buried in debt. And Niall did a tremendous job for those people that paid their membership for 2010, and basically they were only paying for, you know, to get them through the year and having them, you know, getting them the product that they paid for. and that helped out tremendously.
I know
And
he
so-
slashed staff, so the overhead was less.
Right, and that was a tough year. It was a tough year for everybody. It was a tough year for the members. It was a tough year for the staff. In that process, everybody lost something. Whether it was the members, whether it was the employees not getting paid, and people dealt with it. But in the realm of things, nobody wanted to see it fail. So
Let's inject a couple numbers into this conversation, and these I got from looking at my past stories. The club was, at least at the very end, $2.3 million in debt. Most of that to Johnson Bank, $1.9 million to Johnson Bank. But interesting to me, only half of that was mortgage. The rest of that was just debt to vendors or a line of credit that had been tapped into to just try to keep the club afloat. What else was going on that led to the situation they were in? I know Niall did a great job explaining to me that, well, of course, 2010 was deep into the recession,
right.
or maybe the technical end, but didn't feel like the end of it yet. So during the recession, they were having a hard time. People less expendable income. He also said there had been this golf craze that kind of peaked. You know more about this than I, but there was this golf craze, and it had sort of.
Well, I think what happened was, and you can look at all the golf courses being built, from the 80s all the way to the early 2000s. There's a tremendous amount of golf course, golf course development. Well, with that being, as the economy started going the other way, dipping the other way, well, people's disposable income kind of went the other way too. So they're looking at ways, and especially in this area of the country, when you're looking at, well, obviously last year we had basically a 10 to 12 month golf season, but that was out of the norm. But in historically, our golf season is between 7 and 9 months, 7 and 8 months, I would say. So to spend, at a country club per se, and let alone in a country club in this town, which it has been hit hard economically, and to support two country clubs, it was tough. And all those factors, with the fact that an abundance of golf courses, declining the number of players, okay, what's going to happen?
That's a bad recipe right there.
That's a bad recipe. I mean, you see courses all around the area. You go to any realtor and look at golf course. There's golf courses for sale, and now can they develop them? Is it a right time to develop and so forth? And getting back before, what we talked about is all the rumors that we heard. Yeah, there's a developer going to buy it, this and that. There's going to be a bird sanctuary, this and that. So it's all those factors basically hit the wall in 2010, and one thing led to another, and in November of 2010, that's when we were.
And another thing I know that Niall tried was he tried reducing the cost of a membership from $6,000 to $5,100, I believe it was, to try to bring more members in. Well, that wasn't quite successful enough. And then at the very end, they turned it around, and they being the board of directors said, who's for raising the cost of a membership to try to bring in more money?
Sure.
Well, that got rejected, and that was the final nail in the coffin. And then on November 28th of that year, 2010, they filed for receivership. And just a quick definition for people who don't: receivership is basically the state version of bankruptcy. So it's it goes to a court-appointed an attorney his job is to try to sell it and get the most he can get for it. So when did you and others start trying to organize for what would be the next Meadowbrook?
Sure. Well, getting back to your other question, as far as why, another reason that this club failed was, past management, what happened was, as the numbers started declining, members started declining, well, past management had to look for ways to create new memberships. How can you do that? Well, you can create new membership classifications. We offer this price for these people, this price, this price, this price. Well, what in turn happened, when I first got here in 2010, there was 27 different membership classifications. So now you have one person having all the same advantages of the club paying X amount, and then you have another one paying X amount. It doesn't work out. This person catches wind of this person, now all heck breaks loose. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened. Everybody was paying something different, and there was no uniformity, and ultimately that was one of the main reasons that nobody was joining and so forth.
Yeah, interesting.
But as far as us getting a group together, that would have happened in probably October. We saw all the employees saw the writing on the wall. And I had to look out for, say, okay, what am I going to be doing next year? What can I do to, obviously I love it here. I grew up here. I love the golf course. What can we do to, and we knew it was, and in the situation that the bank was in, the bank knew, for them to get any kind of money out of the deal, or I should say top value out of the deal, they needed to sell before the following golf season. If they didn't sell before the following golf season, their investment's going to tank because now they have to not only maintain the golf course, but they have to, if somebody was going to buy it and they go a whole season without the course being maintained, well, now you're incurring a whole bunch of other costs.
Yeah.
So we had a little window there. Once again, we got together with the accountant that's helping us out and our lawyer, and we were able to put together a business model. We showed that to myself.
And this we again was you, and you mentioned Scott, your head groundskeeper.
Yep, at the time. Scott
what was the nucleus of the new group?
Well, it was our accountant, John Staler, who was a childhood friend of mine that helped me out. He's an accountant, and he's still our accountant now. And he's a partner in Brackus Blum in Brookfield area. So he was able to, he sat us down, and then Dan Pettit was our lawyer that you probably met the day of the hearing. Yeah. And they were, Dan's a member here too, so it was close to his heart too. So, we looked at it and we talked to everybody we knew. We wrote a business model, and our business model is simple. Racine has very nice public courses. Johnson Park, Ives Grove, there's very nice public courses. There's a very high-end country club in town, Racine Country Club, where we want to fit is right in the middle. And we offer country, our model is we do offer country club standards. It's on the golf course. All the other thing, and we'll get into our restaurant a little bit later, we brought an outside restaurateur in, Carlo Padone, who operates the Carlos in Oak Creek. We brought him here to open up a restaurant on site, and that's kind of we alleviate some of the pressure on our members. Traditional country clubs have minimums that they have to spend. Well, by bringing in an outside restaurateur and having the restaurant open to the public, now we can wipe out those minimums. They're not required. We feel we created a product that people are going to want to stay for, not that they're forced to stay for. Yeah. So getting back to that, actually here, we're going to sample some of the food here.
We're talking about, again, Di Carlo's is the name of the restaurant, open to the public.
Yep.
I'll be interested to see what they put on this, this nicely appointed table. But what is, for those who might not have been out to Di Carlo's, what does it cost to to have lunch here? What does it cost to have a dinner here?
Sure. Our prices are mid-level. Our mid-level. We offer a great variety. I would say our lunches are anywhere from $7.95 to $10.95, and then our dinner is $12.95 and up. So we offer and then.
And think. No, go ahead. Finish your thought. You offer what?
We offer, and then we did a thing here now. We're offering a lot of daily specials. Monday night we do a bottomless wings. Tuesday night we do a pasta bar that's very popular. Wednesday night we have $5 martini night. So we're, if you have good food.
What night was that?
Wednesday nights. So
martini night.
And that's the thing. If you have good food, people will travel no matter where it's at. I mean, they'll be. They'll go to a garage if you have good food, and that's where once again another stigma that we have to get over is hey, people can come here. It is open to the public at all times. I think there's not enough realization that people think it's still a closed entity, and
you were explaining to me that's a very different model than the typical country club, because talk about that when it's a members only place to eat.
Right. Well, as far as costs go, the traditional country club, what really hurts a traditional country club is the food and beverage aspect. I mean, they can't forecast. They don't know, let's just say a traditional country club has 250 members. Well, you're now on a Friday night, you're at full staff because you don't know how many people are going to come. There could be 10 people walk through the door. Yeah. There could be 100 people walk through the door. So you have to maintain that full staff.
Yeah.
By bringing in an outside restaurateur and somebody who knows the restaurant business, now, staffing levels, we can, you can get a grasp on how many people.
As well as inviting the public in.
Sure. And you can get an idea how many, so that doesn't drain your food and beverage. You talk to anybody in like I said, I had the opportunity to work at a private course, Tuckaway, and other courses in the area. The food and beverage thing that's the tough part. That's the tough part to control, and that's to provide a service to your members at the top level.
Right. By the way, we're going to have to work on communicating smells through the internet.
Well, good.
Viewers can smell what we're smelling.
One of our most popular dishes are pizza. We have, I believe, there's 4 different crusts. There's a thin crust, a medium crust, a pan, and also a stuffed pizza that we do. So, in addition to all Italian specialties, and all the recipes are homemade. Carlo got a start in Burlington. His family has Napoli's restaurant in Burlington, and then he branched out on his own and opened up the Carlos in Oak Creek, which is I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a very popular site, and so forth.
Yeah, and so that was one of the fundamental changes, but you guys did some other things different. One of them was opening up the club somewhat to the public. Talk about that, because that was not done under the old, at the old Meadowbrook.
Well, what I'd like to say is what we have is a hybrid model. Okay, like I said, we market it as a private golf course. We still market it as a private golf course. Now the members realize that, hey, 3 years ago they're paying, in the essence of $6,000 for a membership. Well, we've knocked those prices down considerably, and for that trade-off, okay, we have to generate some revenue. So what we did is and unlike most country clubs in the area, Mondays country clubs are closed. What we did was we're fully operational on Mondays. And just for our site here, Tuesdays is our ladies' day, Wednesdays are our men's day, Thursdays was always notoriously a slow day. So we opened that up to the public too. Limited tee times on Mondays, Thursdays, and then also weekend afternoons we allow limited public tee times.
It would seem that all weekend long you would have members wanting to play golf, but that's not the case.
Well, keep in mind, most of the people that play on the weekends, they want to play in the morning. They plan their day on playing golf in the morning and then activities in the afternoon. So the busy times for us are, as far as letting outside play in, is from about 12 to 1:30. We only allow them after 12 o'clock. So from about 12 to 1 it's busy, 12 to 1:30. And then after that, we get a lot of families out here. The family members come out with their kids 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the course is pretty much wide open.
Another thing you guys did to change, again, the model of how you operate this is you brought in different types of memberships. You went from 27 in the old days to how many now, and what types of memberships do you have?
Yeah, we do have we have about 5 different membership classes. We have a single membership. Some clubs don't offer that. We offer, we understand that, ultimately in anything, most of the time the wife makes the decision on what kind of membership. So what we did is we do offer a single membership if a wife doesn't play or a husband doesn't play.
And you can give the prices as you go, by the way.
Oh, yeah, our single membership's $32.50.
Okay.
Our family memberships start at $42.50. Now, one of the huge selling points that we have here is we have no initiation fee, we have no monthly minimum requirements, and there will never be an assessment because it's a privately held club. So that's one thing that we offer versus traditional clubs. We also offer just a pool and tennis membership. We have a great pool, tennis courts as well. And then we have another thing where it's a social membership where that's a real minimum charge is $250 for the year. We have a bunch of
What does that get you?
That gets you, we have a bunch of member-only parties, invites to those, and then a house account. You can set up house account spending where you don't have to carry cash and just bill it to your account, and then you'd get 10% off all food and beverage purchases. So,
and you also brought in something they didn't have before, the corporate membership. What is that?
Corporate membership's an interesting membership. We have about 30 of those, and it's great for a corporation, great for a small business, great for even just a group of people that want to get. And basically what we do is we give them 40 rounds of golf. Now, with those 40 rounds, they're not obligated to the public days. They can come out any time. But those are the corporate memberships start at $1,600. That's for walking, no cart. $2,200 with a cart. So it saves you a little bit off our daily fee price, but in addition, it lets you play any of the days. Now, there's one stipulation to those. Obviously, they're a lot less expensive, but one person can only use, out of the 40 rounds, one person individually can only use them 10 times.
Okay.
So it's a lot. So it's an option. Ideally, it'd be great for just a foursome, one of each. 4 guys come out 10 times.
Right.
So that's an option, or a small business that wants to give rounds to their clients coming into town, their employees, friends, so forth.
So how many memberships, given all of those changes, how many memberships, members rather, do you have now compared to before? And it'd be interesting to hear how many prior members you were able to bring back.
Sure. Well, like I said, in 2010 when I was here, it was tough to get a good gauge of how many members we actually had. There was a lot of people that were paying monthly that actually just stopped because they saw the writing on the wall that they just stopped paying.
Okay.
So I would say somewhere in 2010, back in the heyday of Meadowbrook, I would say there was 250 to 300 members.
Yeah, according to my reporting, one of my old stories, you guys would be full at 300, and it actually peaked at 295. So at one time, it was very close to that.
So I would say in 2010, we had in the neighborhood about 180 to 200. As the year went on, it gradually decreased because, like I said, a lot of those people were on a 12-month billing cycle where they just stopped paying.
Yeah.
In 2011, our first year here, we had about 105 members. Okay, this past year, we had 120. So we grew a little bit. Now, as far as retention goes, and here's a great, in the quality of product. Like when I talked about before, how everybody lost something. Back in the old Meadowbrook, they sold lifetime memberships. Now, unfortunately, when a club starts selling lifetime memberships, what are they looking for? They're looking for money up front, more or less to pay down debt. Well, Meadowbrook sold 11 lifetime memberships, anywhere between $50,000 and $65,000.
Wow.
Our first year, 2011, 9 of those people came back paying.
Despite losing big
Despite
money.
losing, one of those members paid the year before, $65,000.
Wow.
And so he lost everything, and then he came back paying the next year. So I think that's a true testament to our product
Yeah.
that the quality is there.
It indicates they like the course and they like Meadowbrook, but it also indicates they had some level of trust in you guys, I would think, at
Right.
least to the level of trying you out and
Sure.
seeing if it can work.
And I do think there's some people out there, because like I said, I believe strongly in our product. Like I said, Racine does have very nice public course. We have a lot of options for golf.
Mm-hmm.
What we offer is, unlike the traditional country clubs where the fees are high and it's we offer a mid-level point where if you're a golfer, the value is there. There's no doubt the value is there.
And so what was your business? What did you, before we kind of wrap up, how did you do in 2011? How did you do this past year? And what sort of projections do you have for next year?
Well, we grew about 15% from 2011 to 2012.
Mm-hmm.
That's in our budget, again, for this year.
And 2011 was a decent year?
Yeah,
given?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We hit our budget numbers. We, like I said, by having the drain in any club is the food and beverage. And, all indications are we're doing, we are doing really well in the food and beverage department. You can look at, our banquet facility. We have a beautiful banquet facility. Looking outside, there's no other view in town that you can have a wedding, party, and so forth. So very popular in that ideas. And then also the restaurant. Once people come try our food, they're going to come back because it's really good, great food and so forth. And we also do carryouts as well that most people don't realize.
Finally, what is happening now with the popularity of golf? Is it a sustainable sport? Is it holding level? Is it increasing? Or
I would say it's stagnant. Golf is unfortunately it's stagnant just because of the way the economy is going.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like anything. The cost of playing golf is the equipment is increasing in price.
Mm-hmm.
But overall the popularity, the base golfer is going to stay playing golf. It's the new golfers. And where do you target those? I go to seminars all the time on how can we grow the game, and it's through juniors and the women. And if we can get those people into the game, I think you're going to see the game of golf grow a little bit. They're the PGA of America, who's the governing body of golf in the United States, looking at all ways of, they've talked about maybe having 12, 13-hole golf courses instead of 18 holes because
Really?
It takes too long.
Yeah.
Or having an option where designing golf courses where every 3 holes it comes back to the clubhouse where you can stop if you want and so forth. So, they're on top of it. They're certainly the part of the governing body is looking at ways to grow the game and so forth.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you guys have obviously done a good job, the new owners, and regardless of what happens with Meadowbrook, you guys seem to be doing just fine out here. So kudos to you guys. Thanks a lot, Jason Samuelian, for being with us on Money Talks today. Thanks to our producer, Scott Anderson. I'm business reporter Michael Burke. Please join us again.